Hello everyone, my name is Lori Gagne and I'm going to be answering the top 5 most asked questions on the Minelab Vanquish metal detector. And those questions are: what numbers do I dig? What numbers do I avoid? And what do these numbers mean? What search mode do you use and why? How do I avoid digging nails, large iron, and large items? Why would I use the all metal search mode? Nail on, nail off, high iron bias, low iron bias. I'm so confused what to do. If your question is not one of the ones that I just listed out, please leave me a comment and I may make another video answering your question. Number 1, what do I dig? What numbers to avoid? And what do these numbers mean? The answer: dig a large variety of numbers. And this is why. For this question, we need to start from the basics. A metal detector works by transmitting an electromagnetic signal into the ground. Any metal within its field will become energized, and it will then transmit the information to the metal detector. The detector processes the information and gives it a corresponding number. Small metals or metals with low conductivity will ring in on the low scale on your display. Example of these metals are shown on your display screen. Even if an item is a high conductor, the smaller the item is, the lower the number will come up on the scale. Here are some of my Canadian silver coins. And this was the outcome. If you are new to metal detecting, then I would recommend digging all repeatable targets. All repeatable targets that you can hear from 2 different directions. This is what I like to call the X swing. Or if it's a really difficult target, then the 180 star swing. The more experienced metal detectorist, I expect you to dig more than the 2-way repeatable targets.
All the way around. This sounds fantastic.
But this technique is a great way to start and help you learn the numbers and the tones. Iffy signals have a good chance of being garbage, but not always. If you find yourself digging too much garbage, focus on the 2-way signals. And then you can always go back and get those iffy signals next time. You may come across some trash that discourages you from digging certain numbers. Let's say a 6 and a 14. Each time you get this target, you notice that it turns out to be foil or pull tabs. You can discriminate these numbers or take a mental note and dig everything but. But I have seen gold come in at those numbers. The more numbers you dig, the more you will learn and the more you will find. But just remember to have fun and dig a wide range of numbers. Number 2, what search mode do I use and why? I can break this answer down into 3 reasons: location, desired targets, and even the size. Coin mode is a great search mode to start with. It's great for trashy beaches and parks. This mode will discriminate itty-bitty bits and larger items compared to, let's say, relic mode or jewelry modes. Jewelry mode will allow you to find the smaller and finer gold jewelry. With the default discrimination, you will hear more targets than, let's say, coin mode. Relic mode. If some of you have watched my digging videos, you'll know that I'm a true relic hunter at heart, and this has to be my favorite mode. I'm searching for a large variety of sizes and metal compositions. Items can get deep, so depth is usually important for what I'm looking for. This mode has less target separation than coin and jewelry modes. Target separation is how many targets the detector can hear close together. This has to do with the recovery speed. It's how fast the detector can recover from the last signal it had received. In some extreme trash conditions, I may switch to jewelry mode for better separation. This will allow me to find items closer together or located close to a non-desirable target. This is why I'll switch to relic mode as soon as I move away from the trashier sites. Number 3, how do I avoid digging nails or large deep items? This comes with a better understanding of a metal detector. On a depth test, this machine can reach a coin in the ground at approximately 10 inches. If you look at your depth gauge, each arrow represents 2 inches. If all 5 arrows are showing, you know you should be at your maximum depth. You then raise your coil 1 or 2 inches at a time. If you can raise your coil a few inches or more, this will inform you that it's larger than a coin. Next step is to discriminate the size. You can by using the pinpoint mode. It's a great tool to use to determine the size, the depth, can even help you determine if that tone is a falsifying target. The pinpoint mode is tone modulated. This means the tone will ring in louder as the target reaches the center of your coil. As you pass over it, the sound will decrease. This is how it could determine the size. A small object will zip over a target, but it takes longer to cross over a larger target and will ring off longer in the center of the coil. But remember, the deeper the object, the smaller it will sound. Using this technique can really help you determine the size of the object.
Sounds like a pretty small pinpoint.
As the side of your coil reaches a spike or a wire or even a tip of a nail, it can create a falsifying signal. They can ring in high on the target ID display. As you learn the signals, you will notice at times they don't sound as good as a desired target. If you have iron on, you can sometimes hear an iron grunt after the signal. When you X over your target, you will only be able to repeat this tone in one direction. When I detect a target, I visually mark the ground where the target is sounding off. When you pinpoint a tip of a nail, the pinpoint mode will seem like it wants to slightly shift over the target. This is because pinpoint wants to bring you over the top of the nail. You can visually see it shifting over slightly. A masked coin in iron can be difficult to locate, but can almost sound like a falsifying nail tip. The only difference is, as I rotate around the target, it will reappear twice or more times in the same spot, whereas a nail, it's difficult to isolate. An old wise man once told me that you could spend 5 minutes analyzing that signal, or you can spend just a minute or two digging it up and actually learning what that was. Smart guy. Number 4, why would I use all metal search mode? One of the first reasons I use it would be to locate an area with a lot of activity. The more you start to hear iron, the better chances of finding the good stuff. Another way to use all metal is to assist you to analyze your target in a different search mode. This will help you analyze if the target consists of iron or not. Number 5, do I use the nail on or the nail off, the low or high iron bias? By default, every time you turn on your metal detector, it shouldn't have the nail on your display screen. The default is set for a high iron bias. If you are new to metal detecting, using a high iron bias is a good idea. This will allow you to focus more on the desirable targets than the more difficult ones. Once you have spent many hours and you have learned the tones, you may then be ready to try a low iron bias. You will dig a lot more garbage, and this is why. Some dense trash targets consist of complex metals. These have a ferrous and a non-ferrous response to metal detectors. The iron bias is telling the machine the likelihood if it's iron or not. This will allow you to analyze your own signal, and then you can decide if you should dig or not. Well, I hope this clarifies your questions on the Minelab Vanquish metal detector. If I didn't answer your question, leave it in the comments below. I would also love to hear if this type of video helped you. Happy hunting, everybody, and see you soon.